Hi everyone, I think we can get started. Hello and welcome to the Youth-Led Recovery Information Session. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Belinda, I'm the Senior Policy Officer here at LGA. I'm also here with Matilda, who manages our Research and Development Scheme. And we also have Nicole on the phone, online from DHS. So Nicole, do you want to just give a wave? Yep.
Hi everyone.
Excellent. So what I'll do is I'll mute most of you during, I've got a quick presentation and then we'll go into asking any questions. So just to let you know, we are recording this as well. If you have any questions, please feel free to put in the Zoom chat. I'm presuming everyone's familiar now with Zoom, and or if not, raise your hand and we can go from there. So just bear with me. Okay. So as you can see, Helen Connolly, the Commissioner for Children and Young People, has noted in a report that she did recently that for young people today, this pandemic could be one of the most formative experiences of their lives, significantly redefining their outlook and opportunities. Many young people have had to reevaluate their expectations and goals for the future, as many of the activities and places central to their lives have been disrupted. So yes, I'd like to welcome you all. I'd also firstly like to acknowledge that the traditional owners of the land of which we meet today, and pay my respects to their elders past and present, and extend that respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are present today. So, like I said, we were fortunate, the Local Government Association were fortunate to have contact with the Department of Human Services to put these grants out. So the grants, the grants will enable councils to undertake activities and initiatives led by young people aged 12 to 24 years that respond to the impacts of COVID-19 public health emergency. One of the things that's really important to note is that these grants are really preferred to be youth-led, and I guess by that we really mean initiatives should actively involve young people in their planning, decision-making, delivery, facilitation, reflection and the evaluation of the initiatives using actions that they want. So that's a really important, I guess, element to note when you're completing your application, is to really demonstrate how the young people are being involved in your project or initiative. So to be eligible for the grants, we've had a few inquiries from not-for-profit agencies. Unfortunately, the grants are for local councils and regional local government associations. Sorry, I've just had some people wanting to enter the room. One moment. And so whilst we encourage collaborations with not-for-profit organisations, it is important that councils are the lead sponsors for the grants. So the funding pool available is up to $500,000, with up to $20,000 for individual councils and up to $50,000 between councils and not-for-profit, or councils and councils. Sorry, I've just got a few people wanting to enter the room. Just one moment. The aim of the grants is to provide outcomes that benefit young people. And so what we've asked is that the grants are required to meet one or more of the following outcomes: improve individual and community social and emotional wellbeing and resilience, improve individual and or community economic wellbeing and resilience, reduce social isolation and increase the participation of priority groups in the local community, and strengthen digital inclusion as a means to create social inclusion by facilitating digital access, digital literacy and digital enablement. So what do we mean by that? So I guess some examples to outcome one could be, exploring opportunities to improve volunteering, young people to make positive contributions, training programs that help young people learn how to emotionally support each other during tough times, initiatives or programs that consider factors, known to be good for social and emotional health and wellbeing, protective factors such as, good social connections, good friendship groups, community to engage in their local community. So outcome 2, the kinds of things that we might be looking for is around investment in initiatives or programs, again, that contribute to good economic wellbeing, so good protective factors, activities that enhance financial literacy and facilitate access to financial supports, or programs that build pathways that lead to new skill development, training or employment opportunities. In terms of outcome 3, some examples may be cross-generational or cross-cultural projects to reduce social isolation and facilitate participation of young people in decisions that affect them. So things around governance and opportunities to be involved. And lastly, in relation to outcome 4, I guess around developing creative solutions that improve visual accessibility and affordability for vulnerable communities. Implementing activities that may enhance digital literacy for target groups, or provide online activities to provide youth with access to training and educational opportunities. Okay, so some of the key dates. So the grant rounds close on Monday, the 28th of September. By early October, we intend to advise recipients of the outcomes. The view is that projects are to start on the 1st of November and then completed by the 1st of August 2021. In regards to applying, we request that people apply online through Smarty Grants, and I've got the details there. Matilda Thorson, who I've just introduced you to, can help you with that. If there's any problems, just give us a call or email to go through. So with once the applications are received, staff from the LGA will ensure they meet the eligibility criteria, and then the applications are going to be assessed with staff from the LGA, the Department of Human Services, and we also have 2 young people, community members that the department have organised to as well assist with that grant process. The tips on completing the application can be found in the guidelines, and I'm hoping that everyone's had a look at the guidelines, and yeah, most of the information is in there. So I guess it was just a really quick overview that I want to talk to you. I really wanted this opportunity to allow people to kind of put their hands up and ask questions. A couple of questions that we have received are around, how many applications can a council submit? So what we would say is that you can submit as many as you like. It is a competitive round. And as long as you're a council is the lead sponsor. So I guess there are a couple of the key ones. Just going to stop sharing my screen. I think that was all, Matilda. Nicole, did you have anything that you would like to add?
No, not at this stage. Thanks, Belinda.
Okay. So I guess, so I'll just have a look at the chat. So what the idea now is I'll really just monitor the chat line and answer any questions that people have. So Elliston have asked, it says the project needs to start on 1st November. Does that mean shovel ready, or can this be design, for example? Yes, no, that's fine. You don't have to be shovel ready as much. We do understand there are some tight time frames, and I guess it's really just describing in the application what you intend to do and how you intend to do that. So.
We can also maybe say that, I know I'm jumping ahead, but with the progress reporting, when you do that, we are open for, we would love to see some sharing maybe of the local youth on that, maybe YouTube videos, clips, everything. So, we would like to see some creativity through this project and, showing how you really manage to involve the youth throughout the whole process, not just the application process. Yes.
People are able to unmute themselves, so if anyone would like to ask any questions. Thoughts? I might also, just before then, perhaps we start, I did have a contact with a lady called Maddie Starr from the Working Women's Centre. If people aren't aware, it's a not-for-profit group. She's keen, she made contact with me because she's keen to, if any councils are interested in providing projects around women and employment for young women. She's happy to do any, be available for collaborations, and I do have her contact details. So if anyone has identified with a, I guess one thing also I didn't mention is that, you know, these, it's really important that your projects align with the Youth Action Plan, which is the state government's plan, but also I'll really encourage alignment to any of your regional public health plans or your youth plans or youth strategies that you may have. And so I guess if you've identified, you know, young women and employment as a particular area, then perhaps Maddie, you know, have a chat with her. But yeah, so I'd really love to hear from you guys and what thoughts you have in regards to what projects you're thinking of.
Belinda, I'll just jump in on that one. Hi, Nicole here from EHS. So just to say too that whilst this is one of the projects that DHS are funding under our Youth Action Plan, we're actually funding the Working Women's Centre for a COVID recovery project officer position, as well as YACSA for a COVID recovery project position. So both of those organisations are bringing on board or have just recruited new project officers in this area. So, you know, the fact that the Working Women's Centre are seeking partnership really fits well as well. You know, we do know that young people, be it young women, but certainly young men as well, are really going to be doing it tough if they're not already around employment opportunities and getting into the market or just what's available, etc. So, yeah.
Thanks. Would anyone else like to ask any questions?
I have actually spoken to Maddie Sarr already about doing exactly what you've just talked about in her role with Office for Women. Sorry, I'm Yelena from Mount Barker District Council. And we were also looking at how and what are the needs of males in this space as well, to sort of do a full complement program where we're not just focusing on one cohort. I'm just wondering of the interesting ideas, advice maybe of the group around programs, initiatives that are male-led and in responsive to specific needs of males, young males.
Thanks, Lana. Would anyone like to, people like to introduce themselves? I'm not aware of what, you know, the network. Are you guys familiar with each other? Would you find?
Yeah, I'll have to go.
Hi, Alan.
I'm Alan. I'm from Pullican, West Coast Youth Support. I'm a young Indigenous youth worker. So I work in the STAYS program. So it's service to Aboriginal youth from age 10 to 19. And I'm the only Indigenous worker in Pullican. And with it, I've got 186 kids in my program on my caseload. So one of the inquiries as well is I was wondering, because these kids are so in Pullican in a small town, but they also want to be connected to the country. So most of this thing is want to go back home. So in the country on the west coast, so like in Seduna and Kiniba, and that's where they all originally from. So wondering if anything could happen with that.
Okay, have you spoken to Port Lincoln Council or the LGA in the area?
Yeah, I spoke to the Pullican Council on, I think it was Monday night. Yeah. And yeah, so I think they got back to us, but I haven't really checked it yet with my work.
Yeah, I mean, the intent of the initiative, I can't see why that wouldn't, you know, be a really great initiative to have the funded by the grants. I guess it's just around liaising with the council or with the local government association, the regional area, to sort of be the sponsor for that program. But I'm happy to talk offline with you, Alan, to facilitate some of those conversations if you like.
Yeah, that would be good. And yeah, because so I've got so much kids here and that is connected to country and that, but then because they move ahead from Pullican, it's like I think 550 or 600 k's away from where they're from, because I'm one of them. So I grew up in a little mission, but then I went so a little mission grew up in, but I'm originally from Pelican, so I got family here. But just the kids I work with are so disconnected from country and wanted to learn culture, but the only way to learn it is learn it on country.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I've just made some notes. Thanks, Alan. Anyone else?
Yeah, I've got a question. Wilson from City of Onkaparinga.
Hi, Wilson.
Yeah, hello. Question is with some of the ways you can use the funds. I'm just looking at the application. The applications will not be funded if funds to distribute to individuals, and there's a couple of things there: scholarship, reimbursement. So I'm interested with reimbursements. So with especially talking about a youth-led project where you are working with young people in the steering committee and stuff. A lot of young people have a lot of barriers. Many of them either looking for work and dealing with other challenges, transport and that kind of stuff. Especially with COVID, raises a different layer of issues for them in terms of accessing opportunities. So for us to expect them to be actively involved in our programs without providing a form of compensation or reimbursement of their expenses, kind of a bit difficult to get engagement. So I was just thinking, where the flexibility, how do we actually meaningfully engage young people with, while valuing their time and their contribution, if that's not allowed in the grant?
So I'm just looking, so which particular dot point are you referring to?
All right, so I'm looking at, it says what applications will not be supported.
Yeah.
And under that, the dot point is somewhere around the top: funds to distribute to individuals, and it's got sponsorship, scholarships, reimbursements.
Okay. I think it's really if they're substantial, like if the grant is made up of that substantially. So if there's small reimbursements, and perhaps Nicole, you might want to chime in. I can't see any problems with that. I think it's around looking at the proportion of what the funds are going to.
Yeah, I would agree.
They shouldn't be going wholly to, scholarships or sponsorships or reimbursements. So look, minor reimbursements like that is fine.
Yeah.
It's just, and that's, I guess, similar to infrastructure and capital. We did have a query around that. Again, it's around the proportion of that budget. So if there's minor infrastructure or minor capital works being done, it's the way you describe it in the application, I think, too.
Yeah.
Fine. It's really that you're not spending $1,000 to buy a block of land. It's that type of thing. So it's really about engaging and building new skills for young people, and that resilience aspect to it. So that's why those applications. So yeah, definitely small reimbursements are fine. Yeah.
And you may find that one option is actually just to employ a young person for, be it 1 day a week, for the, say, 4 months or something, to actually be a bit of a project lead for this. So in that way, creating at least a paid opportunity to a young person would be great.
That's good.
Yes, because it does say existing staff wages, but any project officer type roles are fine to be funded.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Mary. I'm from Red Cross. How are you, everyone? I think I know a few faces, Nicole and Esme.
Yeah. Hey, hi, Mary.
How you going? Long time no see. Hi, how are you? I just thought I'd kind of pipe up a little bit. So I work in the emergency services section of Red Cross, and we've been doing a whole heap of work around bushfire, kids within bushfire environments, as well as in COVID, around COVID. So really looking to collaborate with any council that would like to draw on our expertise in that area. In terms of a specific project, I think we'd be looking at kind of council and the children within those councils leading what it is that they want it to look like, and then helping facilitate any co-design process and then implementation. So I'm really open to any conversation with anyone from here. Thanks.
And Mary, would that do you have any specifications around, you want that to be metro, you'd rather that it's regional? It can be either, both? Yeah.
It can be anything.
Mm.
Yeah. So we have a range of staff in locations right across the state. So, providing it kind of aligns with where we have resources, but absolutely. And we're doing a whole heap of work around resilience, and we're running community-led projects around community emergency resilience in different townships. So we've got a kind of whole wealth of information, and we've got children involved in a lot of those projects as well. So we can kind of draw from some of the learning in that as well.
So Mary, would it be a start for anyone to use the chat along the side here to identify that they'd like to make contact with you?
That'd be amazing.
And we are with your we also to share your contact details if you.
Of course, I'll put them in now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you, Mary.
No worries.
Just asked an age range, so it's 12 to 24 years.
And just reiterating in the guidelines too, that whilst the youth-led aspect has got that age criteria, we've, the project led by youth can be assisting and supporting outcomes for, any different target populations within a community. So, youth-led and outcomes for youth is very desirable, but youth-led projects that are for other cohorts are fine as well.
So just, Esme's just put a comment in the chat for you, Mary.
Great.
Excellent. So,
I have a question. Is that okay?
Okay, hi Esme.
Hi, I'm Esme from the City of Adelaide. We are looking to partner with Headspace. We've been having some conversations with them, and we're getting involved in their youth engagement group tomorrow in a focus group. And that was a great question, Wilson, because that's exactly what I was thinking that we're going to be asking them to do above and beyond what they're already committed to. So I'd like to be able to give some level of reimbursement for their extra time. But I'm wondering about if there's a preference for multiple partnerships, or if that's going to give some extra weight to the application. So if we were working with a number of not-for-profits, which obviously will have aspects of it. So I'm thinking financial literacy, that would be one of the, Baptist Care Uniting or somebody. But I'm wondering if that gives it extra weight. So that's a question.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you can leverage that money further, that's fantastic. So I think it's really in the way that when you describe your application, how you're partnering with them. But yeah, I definitely can't see that would be a disadvantage.
And also in the project application, if it's a project that has the potential to, to be expanded and to reach, regional SA of, more councils than your own council, like a pilot in a way, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because even though this is a one-off grant, we would love to share some of the outcomes from these projects through the councils, and hopefully somebody else might be, so any reports or any any information that we can share to the other councils for them to use in the future as an outcome of this project would be great for us and for local councils in South Australia.
Yeah, I guess it's good to mention that the intent is that once the projects are done and the reports come back in, we will put them on our LGA website to be available for that information sharing and seeing what other councils have done and what partnerships they've been able to create, because obviously councils have different resourcing levels and availability, so it's really important, I think, to share the learning as well. And that's one thing that we are keen to do, is to share what comes out of these grants, for other councils. So yeah, if you can demonstrate that you're doing partnerships with other organisations, then I think that would be great.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And can I also ask, can you put Maddie Sarr's contact details maybe in the chat as well? That'd be great. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Is there anything that you're just, no matter big or small the question, that you're thinking, if you've read the guidelines or have a Have a thought. Anyone? No? Well, that's good. Yelena, are you wanting to?
Yeah, I do. So one of the key programs that a youth-led program or potential program that we are getting a bit of traction on with young people in our community is around mountain bike trails. And so we've got about 4 or 5 locations in our sort of smaller townships or hamlets within the district that young males basically are really keen, or mainly young males, are really keen to build and activate. They want to learn how to build trails, they want to learn how to maintain them, and they of course want to ride them. So looking at what is not supported, it talks about something, you know, the things that are generally the role of council. And I do see this project as something being that doesn't generally, you know, it's sort of extending beyond what we would normally do. Having said that though, I mean, financially our council, you know, our council's not going to be resourced in any short period of time to undertake such a project. And so I guess I'm sort of like, well, this is a really good project idea where we can take these young people's ideas and all of the work that they've done in the last 6 months to petition council and to turn it around into an outcome within another 12 months. But I can see that the grant eligibility or what won't be supported sort of talks about that it's council's role to do this sort of stuff. So I'm not sure.
Is that in relation to the purchasing of?
So the dirt itself isn't expensive, right? So it's basically the equipment would be, so there'd be some council contribution would be around dirt and some labour for excavators and stuff like that. Where the cost will come in though, I guess, is the community development, like teaching young people how to build trails and all of that sort of education sort of stuff. But to do it properly, I think there needs to be, it's more around that sort of, we don't have the expertise in council either. We're not trail builders by trade, so we would need to do some learning, and so we'd need to bring in that expertise to support us.
Yeah, I think from that perspective, if they're involved in the learning of that skill and that trade, I can't see why that wouldn't be eligible. I think in terms of, like, if it's the council's contribution is around the, like you said, the heavy machinery and that type of thing, be appropriate. Like, I think that would be fine. I think if the money's then focused on around, it is a community development of teaching the skill and having someone come in as like a facilitator to do that, then that would be okay, I would think.
Cool.
It's more that, you know, if the monies were being spent to kind of build it on that other side, and, you know, there was no young involved or anything like that, and you were just getting your council money to kind of build this new structure. Yeah,
that's our job to do potentially.
Yeah. So if you're incorporating, it's the young people who are actually designing it, who are being involved in learning how to build it themselves and learning new skills that could then transfer into a different workplace. And I think that would be, if you can demonstrate that, then that would be.
And I think also you, as you identified that was, you know, the wish comes from the young people. You know, they have identified that this is something. So, you know, to demonstrate in your application as well that they were the ones that identified this as something they wanted to, not, you know, it wasn't the council who identified this idea as well. Just to make that clear as well. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just on that then, so there's, for Mount Barker, there's the male trail situation, and then Maddie Saar is actually a Mount Barker resident and is keen to, and we're working with the Office for Women to develop a women's information service at the community centre as well. So there's a really nice tie to the Women in Work or Young Women in Work program that Maddie's been working with us on, and then obviously come to the LGA about as well. Would you see that better as 2 individual applications, or is that something that I could creatively package up into one application with partners and a program of activity?
I think, good question. I mean, I guess in terms of the monies that you're seeking, by partnering up, there is opportunity to have that extra, up to $50,000.
Yeah.
I think it's really how you manage the project. If you wanted to see it as 2 distinct projects, then that's fine. Otherwise, if you feel that it's better off in one bigger and it's manageable in the time frame, then I guess that's up to you.
Yeah. So if I did 2 separate applications, is there a chance that both could be successful, or would I? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the applications we are going to be doing purely on their merit. So, I could theoretically put in 5 applications, but at the meeting, it is a competitive grant process. So, as long as it ticks the criteria that we have, and the guidelines kind of outline what we're looking for, and that you can show that's fine. It really, I mean, we'll be conscious, obviously, of trying to spread it around across the state, but essentially it is a competitive process. So if you've got 5 great ideas, then and you think they meet the criteria, then definitely put in an application. Nicole, I'm not sure if you have any other thoughts.
No, I'm fine with what you're saying. My reaction would have been that if they sat comfortably under, if you like, the same sort of outcome area, that you would consider bundling them all together into one application that has different aspects to the project. But if they feel quite distinct and separate, sure, you can do 2. And I think totally what Belinda said, that there'll be a kind of an equity issue though around how the funds get distributed.
I'm setting myself up. Yeah.
But they'll be based on their merit and
Okay.
Hi, Sarah, did you have
Yeah, I just had a question around, I'm Sarah, sorry. I'm from West Coast Youth and Community Support, like Alan is, and work for an organisation called Mentally for EP. And I just wanted to ask if the young people are designing the applications that are being put forward, I mean, with help of the councils, but I wonder, if they are actually a part of the process of designing the applications that you put forward, because a part of the project that I've been involved with the Australian Centre for Social Innovation and the Faye Fuller Foundation, we have done a lot of discovery in our community, and a lot of the things that we've heard from the young people is that they don't feel like they have a voice, they don't feel like their voice or their ideas are valued or empowered. So I just wondered what communities are actually seeking the help of the young people first, or asking them to really take the lead from the beginning.
Good question. I mean, I guess from our perspective in the applications, we would be seeking evidence of how, the idea of the project, where did it come from, and that it was from, whether it's, councils, youth action, like youth advisory committees, or it's been, identified in consultation that they've done previously with their young people. I mean, they're the sort of things, and that's why in terms of alignment with their strategies and plans would be really good to see, because, obviously with those, with the Regional Public Health Plan, for example, you would have done consultation about it. So I guess it's really important to demonstrate in the application how that project came along. But I'll open it up to any of the councils if they'd like to answer Sarah's question. I mean,
I'm happy to say something. So we had a pre-existing group called the Way, or Wellbeing of Adelaide Youth, and that has predominantly services involved with some young people, and so we were a bit unhappy about that being the design group, and so that's why we've talked to Headspace, and tomorrow we're going to their youth engagement group. So specifically, without any kind of set agenda, we do have I hope that it will be a preference for doing something to support our international students in particular, because right in the city of Adelaide, obviously they're a very high percentage of our population, and we know they're doing it tough right at the moment. But it really will just be an open conversation, explaining here's some of the data and demographics and what we know is going on. Here's what the grant allows us to do. What are your ideas? How can we make that happen? And see if they want to get engaged and want to do it. So that's certainly our intent, and I would imagine probably, hopefully, that's what everyone's doing. So.
Hi Sarah, it's Nicole. I'll jump in too. I think it's a great question, and it really is the heart of these grants that it will be highly desirable that these projects are co-designed and that they really draw on what young people are saying about recovery out of this challenging time of COVID. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. I think it is really important to give them that opportunity to lead, especially from what we've learned from the conversations that we've had. As a young person myself, I don't remember, especially in school, being asked what we wanted. So I just think that's really important.
Thanks, Sarah. I've just noticed Ursula's put a comment in the chat. Our youth group wants to build a beach volleyball net on our local beach. How can this be included if it's youth led? I think it goes back to similar to the bike track, I guess, conversation around, if you can demonstrate that it's your young people wanting it, designing it, and that council's in partnership with them. I can't see, again, for minor infrastructure and that type of thing, that should be an issue. I think it's around how it is demonstrating, how the project's going to be run, and the skills and the outcomes, and linking it back to the outcomes that we're seeking in the grants. So, if that's around social wellbeing and social connectedness, it's a place where young people can meet, and hang around. And I am conscious that there's a lot of research around the availability of spaces for young people, that if they don't do structured sport, it's often a lot of communities have sort of can be lacking sometimes for young people. So if this is a beach volleyball area where it's a place that young people can socialise and have those connections, then it's just about demonstrating that in your application, I think. Is there any other questions? Any other thoughts anyone would like to sort of just share some ideas that they're thinking of, wanting feedback or opinions? No? All right, well, I guess perhaps if there's no other questions, we can leave it there. I
was going to say, and this session also, there's a question.
Got a question?
Yeah.
Sorry, who's that? Oh, sorry, CEO Lachlan, sorry. Yep, can you speak? Oh, we can't hear you.
You might
have to turn up.
Sound up.
Do you want to try again? No. No.
Hear me now?
Oh, yes. Yep. Go.
Yep, sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry I've come on late. I've had so much trouble with my computer this morning. I'm just a little bit confused about the section where it asks for indicators and measurements. So I'll tell you what page that I'm looking at. So at the outcomes, where it says youth-led recovery grant outcomes, and it talks about what grant outcome, the time frame, and the indicator, what you will use to measure this outcome. So my understanding of the indicator is that it's a high level, and then my understanding of what you will use to measure this outcome with something like a survey or one-on-one question. Is that correct? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, so is this in the appendix?
No, it's in the actual grant.
Oh, sorry, the application. Oh, sorry. I'm just going to have a look at the page again.
Oh, I've got it on page 7, but that's because I printed out the preview.
So it's the application.
Yeah, I guess it's just identifying how you're going to measure the impact that it's, at the end of the project, what it's had on your young people.
So it could be, you know, that many people in your local community
Yeah.
participated in the program. It could be that simple, or, you know, or it could be we achieved, some people actually got work out of this, you know, just depending on, some people learn some new skills. It's quite varied because the projects are going to be quite diverse. So, you know, it's hard to kind of.
Okay. All right. I was just confused with the example that was in there though, because that just, to me, that talks about just what you're going to do. It's not really a measurement of anything.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay. I mean, ideally, you know, it is conscious that they're short-term projects. So, you know, to get an impact measurement, you know, what's the impact 2 years later is going to be obviously very difficult.
Yeah, sure.
So it's really around just trying to demonstrate, perhaps before the project started or at the beginning of the project, to get a feeling of, depending on what the project is, I guess, an initial kind of starting point, and then a follow-up at the end of the project, and how that's, yeah. So I guess it's just demonstrating, you know, like I said, how many people might have attended, if you're running a training program, for example, qualitative and quantitative sort of data that you can capture.
Yep.
I guess it's very project specific, but that's the sort of measurement that we're seeing. Is just often, you know,
that's fine.
Yeah, we'll do a project and they don't think about the evaluation kind of side at the end of it. So it's just trying to be mindful that.
And I guess in your mid-year or mid-project progress report, you'll be able to, you know, demonstrate, you know, what you achieved so far in the project as well. And you can kind of rejiggle a little bit, you know, these were the anticipated outcome, but this is actually what, you know, what happened.
Yeah, no worries.
And I guess just to be mindful, we're happy for creative ways of demonstrating this as well. So it might be through YouTube, you know, a visual thing. It could be a written thing. So just to be aware, we are open to many the different ways.
And it would be great that, you know, like you don't have to do big, but it'd be great to have the young people involved in showing some of the outcomes, and, you know, maybe a little, like you said, a little YouTube clip or something like that would be great.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
And I was going to say as well, we are recording this session, so it will probably take a couple of days, but you're welcome to go into our website if you want to have a look at anything.
Sure.
Is there any other questions? Alan, did you want to say something?
Yeah, and the other question I want to give it to, because in Pelican, our community is such divided with the Indigenous kids and the non-Indigenous kids. So for this kind of project, like, because I'm an Indigenous youth worker and I encourage and engage the Indigenous youth to merge with the non-Indigenous. So like, say there'll be one big happy community, but in reality we're not. So what kind of ways or strategies will be the best to communicate them two together? Just because sometimes it's race, sometimes they don't feel, some of the misunderstood and other things that get really noticeable, and that. So just the other thing that I wanted to get at as well. So what would be the best option or way, strategy, just to bring them two together?
Oh, that's a big question.
Because I'm an Aboriginal youth worker, but then also like work at West Coast Youth Community Support, and it's such open organisation, and we all get different members of the community. So the thing I want to do in a way that try to bring them together, and it's like I try to empower them and that, but it's just one of the ways that I try to switch the mindsets to say that we are in this together, and Pelican is our own.
I mean, I'm aware that Vic Health in Victoria, you know, they've done a lot of, you know, in terms of project ideas, you know, they've done a lot of projects around working with different cultural communities. So whether, you know, through sport, for example, and through arts, and projects around arts and culture and sport. So, you know, I think that those are the types of programs that maybe could be really good at bringing sort of different cultures together, if that's sort of the aim of it. But yeah, I guess I put it back to councils and you know, really, Alan, I think the councils that are in your vicinity, or the LGA in your vicinity, around what kind of projects that they might be able to look at doing. But in terms of examples of projects, and Nicole, whether you've got other ones, I know that Vic Health do have a lot of different project ideas that they do around mental health and wellbeing, and, you know, a lot of evidence-based work. So if you're looking for ideas of types of programs or initiatives, that might be a good place to start. Yeah, I think that's all.
No, I don't have too much to add to that, Alan, but again, what a good question, and one that I'm kind of guessing that you're probably asking within your own community to the young people there anyway, you know, like, again, the best people to maybe address that are, you know, the people within your community. What do they think will work?
Yeah, because one of the reasons why I bring that up, because I asked the kids on what they want to do, and the Indigenous kids said that they just want a program just for Indigenous in the community. But then so I'll do that as well, because we do sports here. So there's a football club called Melly Park Football Club, and it's an Aboriginal football club in Pulican. So it's all like the sports, so they all basically together. But then I'm just trying to not like divide them, just want to like bring them together. But then because I did some work with a football, with Pulican Football League, because due to COVID, Melly Park folded this season. So then I shifted out about 90 Indigenous boys to 5 different clubs in Pulican, started this year in the Football League.
Oh, okay.
And great.
But then so they all together join it, but then it's only football, and then once I do stuff during the week in the program and that, they just like, engage with them.
So you're looking at other sort of opportunities outside of that as well.
Yeah, like during the week, you know, like on a weekend they play football and that, and then during the week it's like they like clashing and that. So just trying to divide, like not divide it, but just trying to make it bigger as we are together as one. But just work around it.
Yeah, I mean, there's some big challenges there. I think, unfortunately, that is something that, I mean, I guess it's a community development approach. It's sort of required. So I guess, looking at, for these grants specifically around, I guess, those partners and what other partnership opportunities. So perhaps, Alan, if you wanted to pop your details or your, where you work, the organisation in the chat line, and, you know, maybe we can look at the councils within your vicinity. Again, like I said, in the local government association, in the region, I'm trying to think if it's Air Peninsula region. Air Peninsula region, that maybe have some conversations with them to look at.
We're happy to connect you with anyone we can, because this project seems like it's bigger than this little small project. You know?
And with this project, like, I want it to be for everyone in the community, not just be just for the Indigenous kids or the things. I wanted to bring it together. Together. That's the broad idea for it as well.
No, we'll definitely keep you in mind, and, you know, see if we can connect you with some other people as well.
Thank you.
Alan, I've just written a comment about an event that our reconciliation team runs called Kids on Country, and Marty Reeve is the best person to talk to, so I've put his email there. I think that might be worth having a chat with them about. It's a really good, positive event where the Aboriginal young people share their culture and have some pride in their culture with the non-Aboriginal young people. So I'm not involved in the actual event, but I hear really positive, good things about it as a way to bring groups together.
And with, like, one of the things what the Indigenous kids want to do in Pulican is want to go back, be connected with country, and they want to learn the culture, but the only way to learn it is to go back on country. So that's what, like, one of the projects that I'm working towards and trying to get as well, for these to do it, but not just take the Indigenous kids, take the non-Indigenous kids, so they can see how our culture is and see how what is important for us Indigenous people to be on the land and what it means to us.
I think that's a great project, and also, like, you know, to be able to create that kind of awareness amongst young non-Indigenous Australians, I think is really important that we all grow up and understand a bit more
Yeah.
about this country than just
And
yeah.
yeah, and that's just one of the ideal plans as well. What we trying to do at West Coast, because we want to see like our culture now how it is, but then because the non-Indigenous don't understand it, and that's where they come in conflict with each other. But then we start, and if we start them while they're young, with the younger youth, then hopefully we can stop that, and with the next generation, then we can just keep it building that relationship with them.
Yeah. I know Reconciliation SA are also keen to do some work around truth telling and that type of thing. So, yeah, that's another organisation perhaps to talk to. I'm just conscious we've got about 10 minutes left, and there's another question that's come up in the chat, which is from Carly. We're hoping to apply for funding to create a micro enterprise to upskill young people to make or alter pre-loved clothing and accessories. The aim is to showcase and hopefully sell their creations at a market space. Would there be an issue if the items young people make are sold with the dollars going back to them directly, despite the materials used having been funded from the grant? That's a good question. I don't think so.
What do you think about this one,
Nicole? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just looking again at our criteria.
I mean, we did say projects involving fundraising unless the funds go back into the project. So, yeah, that's a tricky one.
I mean, I would say maybe it could be, I don't know whether it could be kind of that you had to repay the cost for the material after it's sold, and I'm not sure how that would work, to be honest. We might have to have a look at that, have a discussion about that, and get back to you if that's okay.
Can I just ask a question, Mary here? I'm just conscious, like it's the youth-led recovery grant. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, great, thanks. Around COVID-19, anything that is specific around COVID and like young people's experience of COVID, what that meant for them, what were the challenges, what came out of it, what ideas do they have to effectively, if we were to go into lockdown again, what might that look like? Because, I mean, obviously lots of the ideas are around building resilience through social connection, but actually really naming the COVID experience. Is that something that anyone is working on? I'll take the silence as maybe no.
Well, I will say though that not exactly that. We've certainly got, like, that whole thing about the micro enterprise and employment, that's come up a number of times about the need to be able to generate income themselves, because a lot of our young people have lost, as everyone's lost employment because of the nature of the work that they do. So that, even though I know it's not an actual medical model, but that's definitely related. And the ability to be able to generate their own income in an ongoing way as a kind of way of future proofing what will happen for them has been quite significant in lots of the conversations we've had. So yes and no, Mary.
Makes a lot of sense. I'm just curious if they're, do you mean, like, as a starting point, it is about capturing young people's experience throughout COVID, and what does that then lead them on to? Like, what are their ideas about how to combat? Because I know at Red Cross would be doing very similar things with adults around that experience. Are really interested in what's the experience of children. Because, I mean, we could go into lockdown again. We could have similar pandemics in the future. So how do we use this as an opportunity?
So Ursula's typed yes as well. Yeah, good question, good comment. Thank you, Mary. Okay. Anyone else like to voice any thoughts or opinions?
I'll just jump in following on from the previous speaker. Yeah, the issue of youth unemployment is a concern for us on Kapringa. Youth unemployment is very high in our space. And so that's something we're working with our young people, in particular. We've got a program that's been working with the young entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs. There's a lot of people in the arts and music space that have been, young people in that space that have been affected a lot with COVID, and looking at how to pivot, how do they still kind of create, make art and stuff in this environment? What are the opportunities? What are the pathways and stuff? So our response is looking at some of those problems that we are facing.
That's great. Thank you, Wilson. Yes.
Hi, I'm Jodie from City Salisbury. Wilson, we're actually looking at the kind of business startup program and enterprise as one of our options as well, as something that, you know, we've been working with young people for many years, and that's been a barrier around, you know, getting them set up with the ABN and the tax side of stuff, and how they can get a bit of a side hustle going on. So you're actually on my list to touch base with. And we've got a couple of other ideas. One's around the kind of healthy living. So Esme, you were speaking about, you know, I guess that resilience and that well-being side of things. So that's part of the makeup of one of our options around financial literacy and, you know, those basic kind of preventative approaches. And then the other one's around funding qualifications. So, you know, I guess making young people more competitive in the market. So their first aid, their white card, barista, that kind of thing. So that's just with our youth council at the moment for their input. So that's where we're at. So Wilson, I'll be in touch.
Happy to talk, Jodie.
Thank you.
Collaborations between councils are encouraged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Right.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jodie. Fantastic. All right. Well, I think we're pretty much done for time. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for zooming in, and you've got our contact details. So yeah, please feel free to email any questions. The LGA's website does have a link to the youth to the guidelines as well, and some information. And we'll, as Matilda has said, we'll be putting the recording up on there as well, so you'll be able to access that. If you haven't been on the LGA's website in a while, it was upgraded a few months ago, so you might need to just redo your login, but that's, you know, quite easy to do. But yeah, I just want to say thank you all, and we look forward to receiving the applications, and yeah, hopefully it can help to make a difference in the communities that you guys live and work in. So thank you, Nicole. Did you have any final comments?
No, thank you very much. Looking forward to hearing more of these good ideas coming to fruition. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. And Alan, we'll be in touch with you with the contacts for your area as well.
Yeah, thank you for that.
All right, thanks everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.